Hello there, lovely people. It's Alex from Nintendo Life here, and welcome back to Alex Asks. And last time, I asked you, lovely lot, what is your main issue? What is your number one problem with the Nintendo Switch? Well, here's just what a few of you had to say. The Triple J Zoo said, I don't like the fact that I have a chance to drop my home console in the toilet whilst I'm playing it. It's a real concern. It is a genuine concern because it is, in essence, a home console more so than a handheld, I would say personally, although that depends entirely on how you choose to use it, and yeah, you could very easily drop it in the toilet. I've never done that personally with a phone or anything, but the struggle is real. Max Moverly says, I don't like the fact that there's no pack-in title, especially at $400 Canadian, and the fact that the 1-2 Switch is perfect for it. And I wish that all my Nintendo account holders could choose their Joy-Cons and not just the Japanese ones. You know, for the longest time I was saying 1-2 Switch should be pack-in, 1-2 Switch should be pack-in, and now that I've had more time to think about it, and I don't know whether I actually expressed this in the video that I did about 1-2 Switch, which you can watch by clicking that card up there, I feel that it should not be a pack-in game now. I've had a long time to think about it, and I've changed my view entirely. I think the thing with a pack-in game, especially at launch, is that it should represent what the console is. And for me, and I think for Nintendo, the Switch is primarily a hardcore console, a system for playing proper games like Breath of the Wild and Super Mario Odyssey, and secondarily, sort of an afterthought, it's a sort of motion control wiggle-waggle Wii successor. 1-2 Switch focuses so heavily on the wiggle-waggle Wii sensor doodly thing that it totally negates the hardcore side of the Switch, which is what it really is all about at the end of the day, at least in my opinion. And so by putting it as a pack-in, it's sort of saying this is what the Switch is all about, and everyone's going to go, no, it's another way. So I think it's good that they didn't, but it still would have been really nice to have a pack-in game. Fernando F. Figueiredo, the 3F, says, Wii/Wii U power problem all over again. Did they just give up? Yes, it's very true and very apparent that the Switch is not as powerful as, say, the PS4 or the Xbox One. It's been said time and time again, and me saying it again well, it doesn't really add anything. But as Mag3G Network points out afterwards, the Switch has no competitors, and that's true because it's something totally different. And I mean, you could argue that it is competing with the PS4 and it is competing with tablets and things like that. But as far as, sort of similar products, that could be, could fulfill that Switch void that everyone has in their lives, there isn't really anything out there. So I think that's the big deal. I know a lot of people are disappointed by the lack of power, but I think for the size of it, it's a good amount of power. And while some people will be disappointed, that's just your priority. And I'm sorry that you feel that way. Ross the Sauce Boss says, my problem with the Switch is the total lack of Pimp Waluigi. Actually, big shout out to Chad, and I can't remember what your full name was, but it was Chad. I'll put your comment in now underneath. You linked me to Pimp Waluigi on DeviantArt made by I don't know who, but full credit to whoever made it. It looks like this, and it's glorious. Carney Games says that USB-C port on the bottom of the system. Now, I can't play in tabletop mode whilst charging, because if you're on a long plane ride and you need to use your power bank, you can't charge and play at the same time. Ignoring the fact that you can charge when you're using it in handheld mode, I know that's not your point. The point is about tabletop mode, and that is a fair concern, but there is an accessory out there which is made by Hori. I think it's an officially licensed one, and it sort of raises it up slightly. It's a nice sort of compacting, folding didgeridoo, and it folds out, it's like a little stand, and so it negates using the kickstand, but it does raise it up, and it does have a little slot at the bottom, so you can charge and play in that sense. I know it doesn't really solve the problem per se. Well, it does solve the problem, but it doesn't solve the problem of not having to carry around another accessory just to do that. So, whilst it is a solution, it's not a perfect solution. So yes, that is a bit of an annoyance, but I'm sure there'll be some sort of case that comes out with some sort of, adapter, some sort of right-angled adapter, so that you can do just that. I'm sure it'll happen. So, and again, still doesn't solve the problem. Well, it does. You know what I mean. Let's move on. Shingo Sawatawa returns and says, my problem with the Switch is that they're sold out everywhere. It's almost like they don't exist, and this is all an elaborate prank. They do exist, you just have to look in the right places. For me, I went to Amazon, and NUK, I think, still have some in stock, which is frankly bonkers. So, that's for the UK. For the US, I don't know. Have a look. Search. Research. Look. It's good. use your eyes. These things, and your ears. Maybe you'll hear something. Where am I going with this? Maverick Cruz says, what I don't like about the Switch is the price of the Pro Controller, $70. Come on. Yeah, it is a bit of a pricey one, isn't it? I mean, $70, I think it's about £60 or £65 over here in the UK, something along those lines. And yeah, that is a lot for a controller, there's no arguing that. It's a lot cheaper than the Joy-Cons to get as a pair, but I don't know, I do sort of think that maybe it's worth it. It's got a lot going on inside it, but it is still a lot to pay for a controller. Thankfully, it is not required, you know, for two-player or anything like that, because you can use the Joy-Cons and all that good stuff. But yeah, it is a concern, and it's one of the things I don't like. But I think considering all the tech that's in there, it's probably a fair price. But we don't want to pay a fair price, we want it cheap, mate. Vinnie Funniness says, the problem I have with the Nintendo Switch is that it doesn't have a toaster to toast. Yeah, this was an obvious one. I really expected this one to come up, and this was the first one I saw. So well done, Vinnie. You made a Hotel Mario reference. I hope you're happy with yourself. I'm a Pug, also known as Sir Donuts, says, my problem is that I can't buy a stand-alone right red controller and a stand-alone left blue controller. What if I buy the colored Switch and I want it to just be red or just blue? Well, as it happens, if you buy the additional set of Joy-Cons, I know it's not a cheap solution, they have actually gone so far as to think ahead, and it's actually the other way round. So I think it's the left Joy-Con is red, we'll say that for argument's sake, and then when you buy the pack, it's the right Joy-Con that's red. So they have thought about that. So worry you not. Fogboy Boyfog says, I don't like how the Nintendo Switch isn't replacing the 3DS. Nintendo has shown in the past that they can have trouble trying to juggle two systems at the same time, so why not focus all their development efforts on one console in order to make the Switch their greatest console to date? Whilst Nintendo are definitely still supporting the 3DS, I don't think they're putting that much focus on it, to be honest. It's just sort of ticking over. It's just another nice little stream of revenue for them, and something they can fall back on if something goes really wrong with the Switch, which it doesn't look like it's going to, but you never know in this game. Give it a year, maybe they'll drop the 3DS in time. Kyranio says, I don't like the idea of paid multiplayer. It's really bumming me out. I understand that server maintenance costs a lot, but at least let us keep the monthly game. I agree wholeheartedly. The idea that you have this service and you rent a game for a month, or you get to download it, and then you can't play it after that month is up, you know, almost don't bother offering it if you're not going to let us keep it. I do think that really is a bit of a slap in the face. Let us keep it, or at least then buy it for a discounted price. You know, sort of, you know, you get it for a month, and then if you want to keep it, you spend, you know, £2 or something like that. A really nice reduced rate for people who are forking out this, what is it, like £2 a month or something like that? We don't know for sure yet, but it looks to be about that much, which is very reasonable still. And finally, Jonathan Dirks returns and says, my biggest problem with the Switch is that neither the Pro Controller or the Joy-Con grip have a headphone jack. Thanks, Apple! Seriously though, what if you want to play on the TV sitting far away from the console, but I don't want to use my TV's crappy speakers, because crappy sound and everyone in the house hearing me play? Yes, it's an important issue. On PS4, I just plug my headphones into the controller, but that's not an option here. Maybe if voice chat goes through an app in your phone, there could also be a setting to send the game audio through your phone. I really hope so. That is an issue I can understand, but I mean, there's so many things where you can't do that. With like a Blu-ray player or a DVD player, it's the same issue, so you can just stick some headphones, you know, wireless or just a very long cable into your TV and just run it through that. So I don't see it being too much of an issue personally, but I do like the idea of running through the phone. That would be really cool if they could do it with absolutely zero latency, or as good as zero latency. I think that'd be really cool. But right now it's just another pipe dream, so here's hoping, but failing that, Bluetooth headphones, they'll do you proud. Massive thanks, of course, to everybody who left a comment. Unfortunately, I can't read all of your comments out because you're all too lovely and it would just make my head explode with joy. But you do have a chance to have one of your comments read out in the next episode. And so my question for you this week is, what would be your dream port for the Nintendo Switch? I'm talking old games, current games, maybe, you know, something with an HD upgrade, or maybe just a really true-to-life port straight over, keeping it as true to the original as possible. Maybe it's a game for a system made by Nintendo, maybe something not made by Nintendo. Let us know what you want to see on the Switch down there in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, then why don't you switch over to that subscribe button, because I'm really original like that. And be sure to check out NintendoLife.com for all sorts of lovely Nintendo-related content. Thank you again for watching. Bye-bye.